You
Hi
podcast.
guys.
How's it going? I hope you guys have had a good week so far. This week we're back with another episode, and this week our episode is about adulting.
Yeah, because that's loads of fun.
Very fun. I would like to clarify before we even get started. I don't want any millennial jokes in here.
No,
Okay? We are
no.
borderline babes.
We are.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
The Gen Z millennial thing. I there's so many. I think I just read like an article, even like a lot. I wouldn't call it an article. It was in Cosmopolitan because I
Wow.
searched adulting and just to see like what people say about it and
Yeah.
whatnot. And the article was literally called something like "Why you need to shut up and stop using the word adulting," and I was so offended.
Yeah, like,
I was
let
like,
me have my
you know,
things.
let me have my things. Like, I don't understand the internet's obsession with just, dampening down on everyone's fun and everyone's things. And also, like, the whole thing was about, like, how we make small things, like doing a load of laundry or cooking a meal out as to be this big, ooh, ha, look at me kind of thing, I did it. But in
Yeah.
essence, this whole thing is about like how difficult it is to be an adult. Not
Yeah.
because the small things are, wow, look at me, I cooked a meal, that's so cool, but because, hey, you had the motivation to cook a whole meal
Yeah.
after a long flippin' day and a long flippin' week. Well done,
Yeah.
I respect you. Thank you for doing that. Like, no one really talks about how difficult it is to maintain, the energy and the motivation in adulthood. Like, because for the first time, you are responsible for your own actions and your
Exactly.
own, duties and everything. And it's like a mundane day to day. And surviving that and having a good positive energy still at
Oh
the
my
end of
goodness.
that is a huge thing.
Just like,
So let me adult, okay?
yeah, let me adult. Let me do what I want to do. Because I was just thinking, as you were speaking, I was like, yeah, when you're working, if you're a single person and you're working, you are responsible for the housekeeping in your whole home. And I literally took days where I was like, okay, this Saturday, I'm gonna clean my house from top to bottom, so I don't have to worry about it for the next 2 weeks. Like, I mean, I'll sweep every now and then, but I'm gonna clean, I'm gonna vacuum, I'm gonna wash the floors, I'm gonna clean the bathroom, I'm gonna vacuum the rooms, And then every like week, just a good sweep, and that's that. And then again, I need to mentally prepare to actually clean the house.
True. Cleaning is hard and it's the worst. Like, oh my gosh. I was just thinking of two things. Like, number one is I was living with my boyfriend and his parents last year when we went remote. Our company, like sort of moved from in-person to remote. So we all working at home. I didn't have a good Wi-Fi setup at the time. So I moved in with them temporarily. And I offered to pay rent because I was like, I'm stable now. I don't really spend my money on anything besides like food and clothes.
Yeah.
So, like I'm literally living in your house and eating your food. I should be contributing, And they said, no, the only thing you have to do is contribute to like the housework and making food and stuff like that. And I was like, sounds too good to be true. It was. I've never cleaned and cooked so much in my life. It was a really good experience though, because I felt like, I did more there than I would usually at home. Because at home it's just myself and my mother. There's like 4 of us, and it's a big house,
Yeah.
2 dogs, so there's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
And I used to laugh at my mother when I was younger. Well, even sometimes still weird. She sits down and she's like, oh, okay, God, I gotta do washing tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. So I know, because with my mom, like, we would help. Usually, like, we take care of our own rooms. So I'll vacuum. Like, I also have to motivate myself to clean my room. Because it's one of those things where I'm just like, not today. I'll do it tomorrow. I need the mental capacity to do it. So I take care of my room. I vacuum. I dust. I do all the things I need to do. I change my bedding. I make sure my room is tidy, and then I'll help my mom with like the bathroom. So because my sister's also here, we'll take turns kind of like doing the bathroom. Just, so that life's a bit better. Cooking, I'm honest, I don't cook. I hate cooking. It's even living by myself, cooking was such a mission. And at the end of the day, what I was doing was kind of really like fast meal prepping, if that makes sense. Like I'd make a bulk of one thing and then put it into Tupperware and then freeze it, because I don't want to cook every evening.
It's so much work. No one talks about how much work it
No.
is. You come home, you're flipping tired.
Yeah.
You must spend an hour cooking.
Yeah.
Then you spend 10 minutes shoving it in your gob, and then you spend like another 25 minutes washing dishes, and then you're packing away. It's so exhausting.
It's like 3 hours just on food.
Honestly. And if you can like minimize that by meal prepping, honestly, hell yeah. Like, I remember my friend, he moved into his first apartment alone. I think just when he was maybe 30. And it was like a new experience. He was very excited. Like, he didn't cook much, so he was also using the time to like get excited about that kind of stuff. And then slowly but surely he's like meal prepping for the whole week. So he would eat the same thing for like months on end, which is grilled chicken and veg.
Even me, I would literally, like, on a Sunday, depending on like how my weeks were looking, I would literally go and cook a batch of mince and pasta, and that was my my dinner for the whole week. Because I just honestly, like, cooking is so hard on its own. Like, I don't want to have to sit and struggle either.
Same. And it's like, I thought he was a psycho. I was like, mate, are you okay? Like, how can you eat the same thing for lunch and supper every single day for months on end? Like, except for maybe the weekends. He's like, it's just easier. Now, I fully understand. I had to cook for myself like every day. I would probably make the same thing as well. Like pasta, solid carryover, like flippin', my specialty is cottage pie. I am good at that stuff. And I'm also, funny enough, ironically enough, I'm a hypocrite. A person who, when I eat something that I really, really like, I just want to eat it.
Yeah.
Just like if I find a song or whatever that I like, I'll play it over and over and over again. So I do kind of understand. But yeah, I would at least switch out between weeks.
Yeah. No, like, I mean, I wasn't making the same thing every week, but it is like,
he was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would never, unless I was like, okay, tonight, you know what, I'm gonna spoil myself, I'm gonna cook properly. But usually those were the days when I wasn't working or I wasn't
free time.
Busy, so I would be like, okay, today I can like do a nice meal. I'll cook some nice chicken and veggies and make a sauce and have a nice, but in general, I was not cooking every evening. I just couldn't.
No,
and there were even evenings where I literally skipped meals and had popcorn. The thing is, it's such a mission. It was usually when there was nothing in the house or I got home late and I was just like, I'm not gonna cook, and I didn't want to get like takeaways or something, so I would make a batch of popcorn and be like, okay, this is my lunch, my dinner, or I would just eat cereal.
Okay, cereal, underrated supper.
Honestly.
If you're a bachelor.
Honestly.
It's no work, and it's so, you can just sit there in your lunch, breakfast for dinner.
Honestly, it is the best. And just in general, self-care as an adult, especially if you live alone, is just so hard.
It's very tough to motivate yourself to like look after everything and do everything that's required of you, and then still go an extra step and do things for yourself that you may not like or enjoy particularly, but that you should probably do to take care of yourself. Yeah,
like exercise. I honestly, like, even now being at home and working from home, firstly, I have a really weird relationship with exercise where if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. It's not about, like, for me, exercise, if if I'm enjoying it, I'll want to do it more, you know. But if I have to go to a gym and make myself lift weights or whatever, I'm not gonna enjoy it, you know, because it's not something that keeps me in. It's gonna be because I know it has a lot to do with like your mental state, but I don't want to have to motivate myself to go and do something active, you know. I want to go and do it because I want to, and I have the time, and it's fun, you know. And it's hard, especially because exercise, I feel like, is a very important thing to kind of do, just in terms of like just taking care of yourself and making sure your body's, you know, okay,
working as it should be.
Exactly. So it's just been a bit like, how do you find time to, like, I look at these people and they're up at 4 o'clock in the morning at the gym, sweating their like hearts out.
Yeah.
They go home, they shower, and they get in their car and they go to work. Then they go, could never be me. Then they go home, they cook themselves a proper dinner, and then they still do whatever hobbies they have.
That is a fairy tale life. I can't imagine having the time or mental energy to do that.
No, like, even just going shopping is a mission.
100%.
Like, and even now, with like, I'm just thinking, like, skincare is obviously like a self-care routine that you do. And I mean, I've been battling with my skin for the last 2 years now, and it also just takes so much time because everyone's like, you need to do all these a million steps and you need a face mask, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do that, but it's also just so much time.
True. Like, can we just also, like, adult acne, I hate that it's a thing. Like, I struggled throughout my teenage years, not too badly, but like, you know, it already was a thing. I thought, okay, cool, bam, when I turned like 24, 25, these problems are behind me.
Yeah.
And when I turned 22 or 23, I'm giving away my age, but I was surprised because I was like, what is this? My skin is completely changed now. Like, stuff that used to work for me before it stopped working for me. I had a whole new kind of chemistry about my face, you know. And it was tough to relearn that, like, what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of stuff on the internet where they just tell you, do this, do that, do that, and they already have perfect skin. So I'm like, of course, you can just hoist some oils on there and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, if I were to hoist any oils on my skin, BP would probably come over and be like, hey, looking real good there, babes. Like,
you're gonna use that? No, it's terrible. Like, there's a lot of things people don't talk about when they become an adult. Like, I feel like when you're younger, you immediately think once you become an adult, you know everything, and you know what you're gonna do with your life, and your skin's clear, you can do whatever you want, you have money now. But it's like really not the case. You have so much other shit you need to do, and it's really tiring, and it's kind of sad because it kind of makes you feel like you're kind of wasting your life doing all these boring things, but it's honestly just the bare minimum to take care of yourself.
Very true. Like, I remember seeing this post all over when I was younger, I think as a teenager, where they compare, like, almost like, you know, in games where you have stats of different characters and you get their power, their strength versus their intuition and knowledge, whatever. And it was similar, it was like that, except for like your different stages of life. So they compared like a child to a young adult versus like an elderly person. And the child had
I think
the factors were like
I've seen it,
time, energy, knowledge, money, you know. And of course, like, you know, kids have lots of time, lots of energy, no knowledge, no money, you know. And then when you get to be like a young adult, you've got knowledge and money, but your time and your energy is the problem. You know, it's a real struggle. Like, I remember starting my first like proper job. the working hours and the travel and everything
Yeah.
was a bit new to me. And when I came home, all I wanted to do was sleep. I just wanted to sleep, and but I still had to shower, make food, eat, and then maybe exercise or do something productive.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have that in me. I just didn't. It was such a struggle in the beginning. And yeah, like you said, it can feel so much like you're wasting your time or you're wasting your life because you're not doing the things that you love or that you want to do.
Yeah.
Because you just don't feel like you have that time or that energy
No,
anymore.
it really is, and it's hard when like I think for us, especially because we're creative people, I get like I feel very fulfilled when I am doing something creative, but
Same.
there's days where I'm like, okay, today I'm gonna do this craft, I'm gonna do this thing, but then most of the time I'm just like, what, I really just don't want to. I'm so tired, and it's just really hard to have hobbies as well.
So true. Just because, like, first of all, say you have a hobby already, like, say I like drawing, you like embroidering or whatever, the time to do that
I know.
is lost. But if you want to get a new hobby, it's even harder.
Yeah.
So you start.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
like,
it's
especially if it's a social one.
yeah, and especially like with a niche interest as well, like a specific, like something that not very many people do. I'm trying to think of something. Like my mom was looking at getting into needle tatting, which is basically a form of lace work but with a really long needle, and it's really intricate and really pretty. But in South Africa specifically, you can't find the things here to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to kind of outsource and look for different ways of doing the same thing,
Yeah.
and it's really hard to pick up, especially like hobbies like that, especially in crafting, specifically, because crafting, you have to, like, for me, I need to learn from other people, otherwise it just doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
I can watch a tutorial on YouTube, yes, that's fine, but when it comes to like making the mistakes, if you can't show me where my mistake was and how I can fix it, I'm never gonna learn. And taking classes and doing things like that is also more time,
That's the thing. I would love to take a class. I would love to like go and take a painting class. That would be so flippin' rad. I remember like at school, for some reason, the one primary school I went to, we had all of the like these little sections where we would go to an art school called Frank Joubert here in Cape Town, and it was one of my favorite times in the world because it's just a day where we go and we make art.
Yeah.
I was like in my element, and I remember being like, oh, I would love to do this as an extracurricular, just in general in my life, and that kept being resurfaced, as I got older, and I never did it. I even now I'm staring blank faced at this painting that I started last year in December that is still unfinished.
Yeah, it's really hard to kind
It's
of
so tough.
Like-
Adulting is starting projects and not finishing.
it really is, it honestly is. And just in general, like, I started, okay, so this is also like a thing where I started making a sword, out of wood.
Oh yes.
I started carving a sword. Okay, but at the time my dad was also busy in the garage doing his own woodworking projects. So I was like, I'm gonna wait until he's finished with that so that I'm not like in the way. And I just haven't gotten back to it, and I really want to. But it's hard. Like, also it's like I set these expectations for myself as well.
Yep.
And I think that's also another thing people don't talk about, is how many expectations there are that you put on yourself and then other people have for you. And so I was like, I've never made a wooden sword before, but I want this thing to be 100% perfect. It must be like some professional carpenter made this sword.
Yep.
And
Like a blacksmith.
exactly. And I was like, no, That's
not
not
gonna happen.
like, you have to learn.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm very much a person, if I don't do it right the first time, I don't want to do it again.
Oh, I feel attacked.
But it is, I have a feeling a lot of our generation, like the millennials and the Gen Z generation, well, I think more the older generation, because the Gen Zs are kind of just starting their lives, I guess.
Yeah.
But for me, if I didn't do something, like in anything, if I don't do something right the first time, I hate it and I never want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Same. I get this. I don't know if it's like it's got a lot to do with your probably your self-esteem or well, for me at least, I know like I'm a perfectionist. I really want to be good at everything that I do without even trying. And I remember there was a period where like in your early 20s you go out clubbing a lot, but I think once that had faded, we played a lot of pool. And my mother is she played a lot of pool back in the day. I think she was like Western Province level or something like that.
Hectic.
She played like tournaments and stuff. She used to, and then her and her brother who taught her used to go and hustle like on a Saturday if they were hungry or whatever. They were like, cool, let's go scam some old men out of some money and go buy a gas tank. And I remember like the first few times that I played, I was like, I freaking hate this. I hate this. Why is this so hard? The way, and the thing is also, I get so tied up in wanting to be good that I also don't allow for instruction. Like, someone will come over to me and be like, oh, the problem is probably like the way you're holding the cue.
Yeah.
And they're trying like help me and position me and whatever, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I got it. And it's so silly because you can't just, for instance, if you were to go like make a sculpture, you can't expect it to be, what was that dude, like the statue of David, after one sitting. I don't even, clay is one of the mediums that I personally have a grudge against, because in art, at school, that was like the one thing in art that I was real bad at, like real unsalvageable. I can't. Despite all like the years as a child of playing with dough. Clay was just not my mistress, and I remember thinking, well, whatever. I'm not gonna freaking be an artist that works with clay. Fuck this, fuck clay. I hate you. And then I never went back to it. That's like a prime example of like just wanting to be perfect.
It's
setting stupid expectations for myself.
It really is. It's like I think now recently I've started being a bit more relaxed towards myself, where I'm like, you know what, it's okay. You're starting a new thing. You're allowed to not know what's going on. You're allowed to figure it out, and you're allowed to make a mess of the first thing. But it is still very hard to get into that mindset of it's fine. You don't have to be good at everything the first try.
You need to make mistakes.
You need to exactly, and especially with hobbies, and I think that's also why it's hard to pick up a hobby as well, is if I don't, it's like exercise. If I don't enjoy it, I don't want to do it.
Yep.
I don't want to do it. I'm not here to not, like, it's a weird thing. Like, it comes back to time for me. It's like I feel like I'm wasting my time by doing things I don't want to do.
Yes.
So I already get enough of that, having to work for a living. I don't want to have my hobbies be something that I need to work at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, of course. Like, that's why I don't think I've picked up any other hobbies besides drawing, because, like, not as a flex, I'm already competent, with drawing. It's something that I don't have to work on. Like, I can definitely get better and improve, which I have, I did a period in 2018 where I kept like a sketchbook kind of thing, and every day, I set the goal for every day, like a drawing a day kind of thing. It would be more like 2 or 3 days, but I could see the improvement over time, and that was really uplifting for me, because it was something that I hadn't even set out to specifically try and improve, but the mere fact of practice and keep doing it, that sort of helped me a lot, and I picked up more skills and whatever. That was really cool. But, to do that from scratch, it's really tough. Really, really tough.
It is. It's really hard to, like, I've been trying to learn to draw for at least the past 3 years now. And I know I've spoken to you about it before, but and you also said to me, it's just practice. But it's getting started and actually getting to the point where you want to practice.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard. It's hard. Like, see, starting from scratch is really difficult because you have to do you have to put in so many hours to at least feel okay about it. But also I find that with hobbies and things, I also blame capitalism for this, is I think we've also kind of grown up with the idea that if you can't make money off of your hobbies, why are you doing them?
Yes, that makes sense. That's very, that rings true.
It should be, you should be doing hobbies to enjoy yourself and, just to relax or to chill or to, whatever, express yourself. It shouldn't be about making money. But that's what hobbies have turned into. So if you're an artist and you're not, selling your art or, doing commissions or whatever, your hobby's useless,
Yeah, 100%.
And that's sad. Like, if I wanna run around in, like, cosplay, for example, I'm very interested in cosplay. It's a bit harder to start in South Africa, I feel. I know there are some South African cosplayers, but
it's an expensive hobby.
It is an expensive hobby, and it's not something you're gonna get money back for necessarily, unless you're literally really good at it and
and maybe you start an Instagram page
exactly, and you've got patterns that you're selling to people or whatever.
That too,
and that's like a good examples. Like, those people are literally just doing it for the fun of it. And I know there's so many things that come with, like, cosplay. Like, there's a bit of a stigma around cosplay, especially in the more, like, I think conservative communities. Like, I mean, I have a friend and I was like, I'd really like to get into cosplay, and they were like, that's weird. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what, it's fine, I'm not going to talk to you about this.
I've never actually thought about that, if I'm honest, like the sort of stigmas around it, that people might think, hey, it's weird that you like to dress up as another person.
Yeah.
But I think for us it's become so normalized because we watch so much, like, anime and stuff like that why wouldn't, it's a fun thing.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to dress up?
Go to a fancy dress party
exactly.
or whatever.
It's like people who get dressed for, like, medieval fairs and Ren fairs and things like that. And that, I would love to do that. I would love to get dressed as a bard or a knight and just go and have a blast at a festival,
Honestly, when you brought up the medieval thing, something in my brain went, oh, yep, no, we used to have a stigma against that. We used to think those guys were weird, you know? And then I think I watched something where, it was just like a fun thing where people were just in the park dressed up. They had like little stalls and little activities and stuff, and it was really like fun, and I would love to do something like that. Also, the idea of like role play in like a fun sense where you just go in and you choose a character. Like, this is why Dungeons and Dragons appeals to me as well. You get to like inhabit something else and just be a different person for a little bit, which is exciting and fun. It's playful. It's like you get to be a kid again.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of it is kind of frowned upon, is like, why are you being so childish at your age? And it's sad. It's like, if I want to dress up as a fairy princess, I want to dress up as a fairy princess. Leave me alone,
Leave me the hell alone, please.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt you. It hurts absolutely no one.
Yeah.
If I go around dressed as Barney the mother flippin' dinosaur and just give, hugs to kids, okay, maybe I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's so crazy. Like, the one thing about adulthood that really makes me sad is that I'm a creative and imaginative person, but nothing will ever touch the imagination I had as a kid.
No, definitely.
I so miss that ability to like create worlds in my head and turn those into like an actual reality. Like look around and I'm in a flippin' castle and you know there's knights around me in the fight. I wish I still had that ability. Maybe it would make me crazy though. Like people would actually think I was crazy. But you know, it's something that I feel like a lot of adults miss when they grow up, and that's why they become so, you know, responsible and staid and boring because they don't have that sense of fun and imagination anymore. You know, like I think there's nothing wrong with immersing yourself into something that's playful and interesting and exciting, and it awakens that little like childhood joy in you.
Funnily enough, I was actually watching a TikTok this morning where this lady has a shop, but it's an adult, like a shop for adults, not in that sense. But it's like, it's for like, it's got clothing and it's got like Hello Kitty, you know, things, but it's for adults. It's not a children's shop.
I like that.
You know, and it was she dressed very much like the Lolita fashion, which is amazing, nice. By the way. She had a cupcake on her head, you know, and her store was
That's a really good
pink.
Example, actually.
Her store was pink, and she was even talking about how, like, why is it so wrong for adults to like cutesy things and, you know, childish things.
Yes.
You know
what a great example of that is? Jojo Siwa.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, Jojo Siwa is this girl that came originally from this show called Dance Moms, which is really effed up. It's
really
basically they force like these like pre-teen kiddos to work these super hard hours and endure like emotional abuse from this crazy lady. But she was really good and she was really sweet, and she was this like high energy, bubbly, like crazy kid, like very loud and very unashamed about that. So like when I was like, I'm, you know, older than her, but like I respect that because that's something that I see in myself. I can't put away that side of myself, you know. And to this day, like she's developed this whole brand, and she's an artist and a singer now, you know. But she still has these crazy like rainbow outfits, and she has this bow in her hair that she has like a range of bows and stuff, and she pretty much dresses like a kid who went to Disneyland and got dipped in like a ball pit and glitter and stuff like that, and then just was thrown into a rainbow. And you know, so many people on the internet are like, oh, when is she gonna grow up? She's 17 now, why is she still dressing like a kid? And I'm like, why do you keep forcing children and people in general to grow up faster than they want to? Or even just defining what makes you you know, mature and capable and whatever. You know, I could go around just like Jojo Siwa and do my job perfectly.
Exactly. It's wild. Like, I mean I like the outfits, the things I like to buy when I wear. It's like I like stuff with characters on them, you know? I'm currently sitting here in a Mickey Mouse sweatshirt. If that doesn't tell you enough. I'm the type of person who will buy the anime merch and wear it proudly, you know?
Yeah.
And when people come to me and they're like, oh, you shouldn't really be wearing that in public, you know, you're an adult. And I'm like, why is it so wrong for me to enjoy these things? And like specifically anime, because I feel like there's a big thing around it in like Western media where people think anime is for children.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I'm like, you guys have clearly never watched anime before.
It's not for children.
Because Attack on, like off of the top of my head, Attack on Titan is wild. I watched a show, Akame ga Kill, I think I mentioned this before, is about assassins and it's gory as shit, dude. Like, it's crazy. And like, are you gonna really tell me you're gonna take your 7-year-old child and let them watch that? No.
No.
Like, majority of anime is not aimed towards children.
Yeah.
It's aimed towards
100%.
like teenagers and above.
Yeah.
It's,
and even if you did watch a kids show, like there's I remember years ago, like I don't know if anyone remembers My Little Pony.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, you first.
Yeah. No, so I've watched the whole of My Little Pony. Start to finish. I have watched it all and I enjoyed every second of it.
yeah, and people like, and there was a whole stigma because there was a group of or a community of like grown men that will watch My Little Pony.
The
and call
bronies.
themselves bronies. Yeah, I actually knew a brony in high school.
I also knew a brony.
That's so interesting. And at the time I was like, it's kind of weird. Like, why do you watch like what why do you want to watch like Little Ponies talk about friendship and magic and whatever? But at the end of the day, I don't know. Like, has anyone actually watched a cartoon or watched like something like that? Aimed towards kids. The messages and tropes in there are very much like what you would deal with in everyday life.
Exactly.
Like kids, there's a reason there's a moral of the story. There's a reason there's an overarching message in every like little storybook or cartoon or whatever, because they're trying to teach them something, trying to teach them to be good people. And I still think that that's very much applicable to adults, because we know a lot of adults that are not good people.
Yeah.
And would benefit from some re-education. And just because they give it in a way that's maybe animated or a
cutesy or
doesn't diminish the lessons. I mean, again, I'm going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. There were so many messages in there that made me stop and go,
damn.
Oh man, like Uncle Iroh, you be spitting some wisdom, I can't, like, I remember at one point I literally stopped, and I will say this, I'm not a quotes person. I hate quotes. If you want to post that on your stories and stuff, go ahead. If they resonate with you and you derive meaning from them, go ahead. I see a quote with like a background, how they make them these days.
The inspirational quote.
It's the inspirational. I want to immediately leave. I hate it when messages are like forced on me.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? I don't like to be force-fed content. And that really does like also carry on into like movies and stuff. If someone's like, oh, you need to watch this, unless I really like respect their opinion and I know they sort of watch some and enjoy similar things to me, I'm probably gonna be like, cool man, and then not watch it, because I don't like being force fed.
Yes.
Like my boyfriend for the longest time he had watched this movie called The Beautiful Mind. And it was about this guy, I think he suffered from schizophrenia. And he was I think attending like a really prestigious university, and he was making amazing discoveries in the scientific field and whatever. But obviously his mental illness had a lot of impact on his life and whatever. It's a really sad and beautiful story. I was like, oh, that's really fucking heavy, man. I don't know if I really want to get into that right now. He's like, oh, it's such an inspirational story. It's a really good movie, And I'm like, cool, I'll do it when I feel like it,
Yeah.
And for 4 years, I didn't watch that movie until literally this year, where we were scrolling through some movie site, and I was like, hey, look at it, it's your favorite movie, And he was like, want to watch it? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what? Yeah, I'll watch it. I think I'm ready now. And I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like that. Like, that's why I think I like, some media is really good at carrying over messages and stuff like that. I think anime does really well at that without spoon feeding it to you. But yeah, for some people, the stigma's too much.
Yeah, just let me enjoy what I want. If I want to watch Pokemon for the millionth time, I will watch Pokemon for the millionth time. Yes. Leave me alone. If I want to watch My Little Pony again, I will watch it.
If you want to watch Grey's Anatomy,
go for it.
I'm not going to make fun of you for that.
Just don't tell me to watch it.
Yes, you enjoy the things you enjoy, and I enjoy the things I enjoy.
Exactly. And it's just,
we can respect one another's interests and differences.
Exactly. And I feel like when it comes to that, though, finding people who have the same interests is very difficult, though.
Very much so. Especially when yours are maybe more niche or out of like the mainstream, like I feel like for, maybe this is a generalization, but for guys it's pretty easy, you bond over one of three things: soccer, beer, or like rugby. Yeah. Kidding, that's a real big generalization, but when you get to be older, it's so hard to make friends based on your interests because not everyone's going to align with them. And how do you weed those out?
Exactly. But you see, this is where it comes for me, is like, I am not a very social person. I don't, like, it takes a lot for me. Like, if you invite me to a braai or a party or anything like that, I will have to mentally prepare myself for at least a week before I can actively be okay with going.
Yeah.
You know?
Same.
And also, I'm one of those people, I kind of like to know who's going. Like, if it's my friend group who I've known for, years, it's a different story. Then you can tell me we're braaiing tomorrow, rock up, that's different. But if I have to go to a new place with new people, that's a completely different story.
Yeah. No,
like
100%. I understand.
And then it comes back to, like, how do you, for me, it's like, I hate having to make conversation with someone where I don't know what to converse about.
Yep.
So you're standing there like, okay, I don't know if I can dive right into my question about, do you think aliens are real? Which is, I feel like, a good icebreaker question, because it kind of tells you who these people are. But, not everyone appreciates being asked a question like that straight off the bat. And it's...
I'm just picturing, like, at a braai or whatever, someone's in the kitchen, like, preparing the salad. You, like, walk over with maybe a glass of wine in your hand, and you're like, hey, do you think aliens are real? And the time you're just preparing the salad is like, don't you want to bring this outside to the guys?
But it's things like that. Like, I find it, for me personally, I find it very hard to find a common ground with people and be able to talk about it.
Yeah, it's very tough. I think socializing and like, it really is a skill. Conversing and socializing is a skill that you have to learn. Some people are really good at it. They're born, like, natural gifted conversers. They can go into anywhere and strike up a conversation. My mom's one of those people. She'll be in a taxi or a shop or whatever, and she'll just turn to the person closest to her and just be like, just start a conversation. And it's something that baffled me for the longest time, and as a kid I was really embarrassed of it. Stop it,
don't talk to this lady.
I'm talking to them. Stop, stranger danger. Now I feel like I've gotten better. I think working helped a lot because, okay, this is what I will say. I think everything's much easier as a kid because you're thrust into this environment, which is school, where you're just placed among all these people who are the same age as you and who do the same things as you every single day.
Yeah.
So it's you're forced to make friends. Definitely. You're forced to hang out with people and, develop these friendships, and, you think they're great and whatever, and then after school, you're like, oh wow,
they were not good people.
Suck.
No, it's true though. It's very true.
Yeah.
Because, like, I find that when you're making friendships as an adult, you have, like, I think, like, 2 ways to meet new people, or like 3. Which is your situational friends, which is where you make them based on where you are.
Yeah.
So you'll make friends in your like at work.
Yeah.
Or
maybe at the gym or whatever.
Yeah.
You're a gymmer or hiker.
Exactly. But then you get you meet people through your friends that you've been friends with, and they introduce you to new people. But I find my problem with that is that they're very like-minded to the people I'm friends with.
That's true.
So you don't really broaden your scope of who you're interacting with. You're kind of interacting with the same types of people, but you're never really getting to know anyone new or anyone who has the potential to be interested in what you're interested in.
That's such an excellent and well put point. Haven't really thought of it in terms of, those, like how you just put it, like you never get to broaden your horizons if you're not the one actively trying to meet people outside of your circle. And I wondered like for a while why I was feeling, a little bit like not sad, but like there was something missing. Like there was, I really enjoy my friend group. I think they're fantastic guys. Most of them are dudes, and I appreciate them. They're flippin' hilarious. But I also found that for the longest time I couldn't make girlfriends. And maybe it's because of my unpalatable personality. I'm very loud and raucous. That's why I think I get along better with guys sometimes. But getting to work, I got exposed to so many amazing women that I just am in awe of. Like, I really do enjoy their presence. Their personalities are amazing. And these are people that I wouldn't have, normally interacted with or normally found because, to a point, yes, you want to broaden your horizons and whatever, but you also have a comfort zone. And you tend to gravitate towards people that are like echo chambers for you and that have the same interests and the same, way of thinking about things, which is lovely. Like, I met you and we're very similar in many ways, very different in others, but it's the similarities that I think made us gravitate towards each other. But for the other guys, like, I'm really excited because these aren't friendships I would have normally made. And they've brought something into my life that, I didn't know I was missing. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, I think with work, because you're kind of thrust into a situation where you have to deal with very different individuals compared to if you're going to a gathering of like your friends, I think in work you have a better chance to make friends with people with similar interests because you have a wide array of different people. Whereas, like I said, you have, like, when you're going to your friend's house and they're inviting their friends, it's like I said, it's kind of the same people that, like, same types of people that go to those kinds of things, so like I said, you're never really broadening your horizons with those people because they are just the same thoughts, same way of doing things. And I think work is a lot easier to find. Like I said, like it's a lot easier to find friends because you have all these different people that you can interact with. And also I feel with a work situation the social anxiety isn't there, because you can immediately go off about work and then start talking about something completely different if you really vibe with someone,
Yes, that's true. Like, it's I think it is much easier, and that's why I think I had a chance to develop those kind of conversational skills and social skills a little bit, was when I got to work and I was like, oh, so this is how this goes. We start talking about familiar territory, like what we do, the day to day, and then it sparks something else, and we move on and we sort of expand and get to know each other better. And I will say the social anxiety is still there because that is embedded in me.
Oh no, definitely.
I'm always like concerned about what people think of me, how they perceive me, even though the other half of me is like, I don't give a F. No, I like myself.
The thing is, like for me, for work, the initial anxiety I experience is usually when I start.
Same.
Instead, and like once I've actually like starting the conversation with someone, that's where the anxiety pops up. But once I've been in the situation for long enough, you get comfortable. You don't have to worry about that anxiety rearing its head. Obviously, there are times every now and then where you're like, okay, maybe I've overstepped a bit too far today. But that's why.
It's kind of part of the process too. You gotta learn where the boundaries are.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying, like, with work, it's easier to kind of find those boundaries out because you are spending so much time with these people, and after the first week usually, or the second week, you're in a more comfortable space with them. Whereas at a party, you're introduced to these people for the first time, You have to exactly
adapt.
You have to get to know them in such a short amount of time that for me that's freaking scary. Like, I don't like that.
100%. I will say, in terms of like managing that or finding a hack, I'm a very self-deprecating person. I think that's like for me a test of how much I can vibe with you is, can you laugh at me and can you laugh at yourself?
Yeah.
Because I can laugh at myself. I think I'm a huge clown. And that's okay. That's just who I am, you know. And I try, and if I meet a new person, I almost like I use myself as like a sort of
a conversation start.
Yes, like I'll crack jokes about myself and be like, hey, look how dumb and weird I am, ha ha ha, you know.
Lol.
And if they find that funny and they, you know, because I always get the thing of, you know, I'm talking about a specific experience and you know how I react to it or whatever, and in a funny way, and they'll be like, oh well, I do the same thing, you know, and then that's how it starts. I think, you know, for me that's really easy. But then again, I think we were talking about this previously with personality types and how you're perceived by people. For some people, it comes off as, you know, wow, she talks about herself a lot, and that's terrifying. But it is something that works for me in terms of finding people who I can gel with, because it's kind of, maybe it's an intuition thing as well, in terms of just weeding out like who you could get along with. And
definitely.
It's also, as you get older, your crowd kind of changes too. I've noticed like your circle gets much smaller the older you get.
No, it's true. I think it has to do with like life, because I was talking to my friend last night. I went to go visit her, and we were talking about life, and like she and I have known each other for at least 16 years, and that's a lot of time. That's a whole bunch of time. And even though we don't talk often, we still, like, whenever we meet up, we have that, like, I saw you yesterday, you know?
Yes.
It's that, and those are the friendships I find last the longest, are the ones where you don't talk every day. And I find the ones where you are kind of talking, like, the ones where you're kind of forced, like school relationships is a good example.
Yes.
And if you go your separate ways, it's usually like, you know, that's the last time you ever see this person or hear from them.
Yeah.
But there are those, like, one or two in that group that you're like, okay, I really enjoy this person's company, and I will make an effort whenever I'm like in the area to see my friend, because I do. I've known her for so long, and she's one of those friends that, like, I do want to go and spend time with, you know?
Yeah.
And
100%. Yeah, me too. Like some of my best relationships are I never speak to them. Like, okay, I will say the fact that I don't really like texting, like WhatsApping people or whatever. Like, messaging is not for me. Just the energy of keeping up a conversation in so many parts for so long just like feels really mentally draining. I'd rather just speak to you on the phone, which is a sentence that I wouldn't have thought would come out of my mouth if you had asked me 2 years ago. I'd rather just see you in person though. But yeah, like my boyfriend, my best friend, I've known them for ages. My best friend, I think over 9, so I would say. And boyfriend, we've been together for 6 years. We never text each other. We never. The only time I'll speak to him is, you know, if we're making plans for the weekend or just like a general check-in sometimes. My best friend, we can go months without speaking to each other. And then when we do, nothing ever changes. Like, life changes, but we're still the same people, and we still have that same connection. She's someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with, you know, in terms of like, you know, I never want to lose her or have her be outside the circle.
I have the same friend. She's very busy. She's also very bad at communication. Like, she'll get to your message eventually.
Same.
Which, like, I know that, like, from the years we've known each other now, that I know, like, I'm not going to expect a reply from her right now.
Yeah.
Because that's just not who she is. But she
Yeah.
and I will also go months without speaking. And then she'll be like, hey, I'm in the area. Can I drop by? And then we'll chat as if we saw each other last week. And
Yeah.
those are literally I think the best kinds of friendships, and the ones that, like I said, last the longest, because you don't need them there constantly, but you do know that if something goes down, they will be
They're
there
there for
in a
you.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. I love those kind of friends, and it's tough to make those as an adult. But that's why I think friendships as an adult are so much more special, because your tastes change and you find who you are as a person, which also is a separate conversation in terms of like just growing up and kind of learning who you are
Yeah.
and accepting yourself. And once you do that, it's a lot easier to find other people who you can get along with and be friends with. But yeah, like your tastes and your vibe changes a lot as well, and that kind of informs who you relate to and who you want to spend time with. Like years ago, I wasn't that picky. I just like, well, if you're there, like we'll talk, and if I know you, like, solid. But now I'm a lot more sort of choosy.
It's interesting because I feel like in high school, specifically in high school, because I feel like in primary school you kind of just friends with everyone.
Yeah.
You know everyone. Everyone's kind of your friend.
Unless you're me and only none of your friends.
Yeah, we can go into that another time.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, like, everyone kind of knows everyone, right? And I feel like once you get to high school, you do kind of form your more permanent, solid groups for the next like 5 years of your life.
Yeah.
And I find of what I've experienced is that, I mean, I was in a group of at least, I think we were like 8 girls who would hang out.
Jeez, that's a lot.
I could be wrong, but over the years people got added as
Actually,
like,
okay, I'll go after you.
and I see 2 of them like consistently. I make the effort to go and see them. Obviously there was some beef as well, so yeah, I'm not gonna get into that.
Spill the tea.
No.
Spill. No, I'm kidding.
It's a whole conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But it's weird because, like, those are literal, like, I literally have 2 friends out of that group of girls where I will be like, okay, I want to go and see these people when I'm in the area, or when I'm not busy, or when they're here. I will go and make it a conscious effort to go and see them, or at least check in with them, at least, depending on how they are. I'll check in maybe like once a month or every other month.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And it's just weird. Like, I also think in high school you're very idealistic about your life.
Oh, 100%. I thought my high school boyfriend was going to be the guy that I married. And kids with.
I know, it's hectic, and it's weird. It's just weird because you kind of think that this friend group of yours is going to be here forever, but then you end up literally keeping in contact with 2 of those.
Oh yeah, it's a skill also, keeping in contact with friends. Like I had this friend where I used to go to his house like every day. We were very close. And the other day we haven't really spoken. He's moved to London, England, and he's doing really well. And he gave me a call the other day, unexpectedly, a WhatsApp call. And I initially thought, oh, was this a butt dial? So I contemplated answering. I was like, okay, let me hear the inside of your pocket. Let me see what that sounds like. So I did something uncharacteristic because I don't really answer people's calls. And I answered it, and I was like, hey, is this a butt dial? And he's like, no, I'm calling you.
Yeah.
And it was a strange second because we had gone through so much of our high school lives together, and the difference is, like, he's a great person, and he is someone that I really, really like. He's a great guy, and because it's different from the sort of like kind of shitty people that you God, that's a terrible way to phrase it, but like the people who you don't really get along with. that you can easily just say, okay, cool, bye. But he was a great guy, and we had kind of grown apart because of time, circumstances,
Yeah,
went to
just
different
life.
universities, and like life happens, and it had been quite a few years. And he would occasionally reach out on WhatsApp, and we'd exchange a few messages. But for the first time in a while, we sat down and had a conversation for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and it was really enriching. Actually, I sat down for a second, and I was just bowled over by the passage of time alone, and how, we just managed to have that connection still, even after all these years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm definitely going to be talking to him more because I felt like I got complacent as well, in terms of keeping the friendships that I want.
Yeah.
And making the efforts, because that's the thing when you get older, you actually have to actively make an effort.
You do.
Which is so tough.
You do. You really have to, like, say to yourself, today I'm gonna call this person and have a chat with them,
Yeah.
And it's just wild to kind of experience that.
True, because as a kid, I mean, what do? You see each other every day, and then you're like, oh, we'll go to the mall, or our whole grade's going to this party or whatever. You don't have to ever really actively try.
No.
Which is something you really have to do.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like so many adult friendships fall apart, because it's like you plan this and you want to do this, and then it gets to the time and you're like,
I also feel like the problem with some adult friendships is they constantly want to do things.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't mind going out every now and then and having, going out for a cup of coffee or, doing this activity or whatever. But I feel like a lot of friendships also fall apart because that's kind of expected, that you have to go and do something with them to maintain the friendship, And me and my friend last night, we were at her house and we were just sitting on her bed, and just having a chat. That's literally all we were doing.
That's the foundation. That's what you need to have to really have a good friendship. Like, I enjoy going out to eat. I like doing activities too, but if we're really close, all we need to do is sit in the same room.
Exactly. Or just, I want to put on a show and I'll sit on my phone and you sit on your phone while the show is playing. And that's it.
That's my love language. My love language is being close to you while we're both doing different things.
Exactly. And that's not like, and that's why I feel like a lot of friendships do fade, because it's effort to actively go and do these things. Whereas I would rather come to your house, lay on your couch, and just either chat to you, or watch a movie, or just relax. Then every now and then you're like, hey, let's go to the movies, it's
that should be like your special little thing, not like a normal.
Exactly.
I remember the friend group I had in university, we eventually split up because it was based on wanting to do things all the time, this week we're gonna go here and we're gonna do that or whatever. And first of all, I'm like, guys, I'm in first year, I don't have a job, I don't have money. Please, guys, I can't, And I feel like they didn't understand that. And then a whole holiday, vac went past where we didn't see them at all, myself and my best friend. And when we came back, it was all
weird,
because all of a sudden it's they've been doing all of these things, they've been spending so much time together, but now that we hadn't spent that much time together with them, it's
we're not in the loop anymore.
We're not really in the loop now, which kind of sucked. But it taught us a lesson too, it taught us okay, cool, we don't really need other people, especially if there's so much expectation and needing to do this and needing to do that. Let's just go with the formula that works.
Exactly.
Come over to my house this weekend and we'll lay around.
Also find that when it comes to things like this, people... Okay, so this is more like when you kind of start leaving school, right?
Yeah.
And when people have their life kind of sorted out and they have a direction that they're going. And sometimes in your friend group, people don't always know what they're going to do. And I feel like a lot of tension and unnecessary situations pop up because people are scared of like letting their friends grow.
True.
And that's something I've just noticed with like people in general, is as soon as like I feel like I'm a very supportive friend. If you tell me you're gonna go and travel the world as a tap dancing ballerina,
Yeah.
I will be so happy for you, you know? If this is something that makes you happy, I want it for you, you know?
Yeah.
But I find that a lot of people, when they don't know what they're doing with their lives, they get jealous of others and then they cause unnecessary problems, and that just damages a friendship for no reason.
True. Or like when you start not fitting in the mold that they
Exactly,
had for you,
exactly.
or the idea they had that they had of you.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. Like, look, everyone grows. And thing is, yeah, things change so much. Adulthood is literally just about change and not knowing a thing.
Exactly.
I don't know what the hell is going on any given day.
No.
I just show up to my job. I do a good job, you know. But in terms of like the greater scheme of things, I don't know where I'm gonna be in the next 5 years.
I don't even know where I'm going to be in the next 2 years.
I don't know where I'm gonna be in the next 3 months.
Exactly.
I could be an entirely different person based on what I've gone through, you know. And yeah, just the whole not knowing should be more normalized and accepted.
It is. It should.
You shouldn't have to have this
Sorted out.
plan or know exactly what you want to be or do or, you know, become. I have a vague idea, and for many years that's like been the standard is I want to be happy. That's it.
Definitely.
I just want to be happy. I don't care what I'm doing as long as I am cared for and safe and happy.
Yeah.
And the people around me are happy. That is so good.
Yeah.
Why would I want anything? And because of that, there's no real like idea of what I want or what I can do. Especially having studied what I've studied, like it's not very directional. Like you study to become an engineer, right? Like,
and that's what you're gonna do.
Exactly. There's different engineering fields and there's different jobs you can do. Yes, but you kind of discover what you want or what you're good at along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, my boyfriend is probably listening to this being like, no, I don't know, because he studied engineering and he's like, there's so much different stuff, I'm overwhelmed.
It's not even that, it's like, you can go and study something and then, like I did, I studied film, I was in the industry for like a year and a half, I enjoyed it, I'm not going to say I didn't, but the amount of stress and like, not because I'm also a person who needs time for themselves to, you know, I need time to recharge and do things, and the job just wasn't fulfilling me in the right ways, and like it was fulfilling me creatively, but it wasn't fulfilling me life-wise, you know. I had no time to see my friends, I had no time to do the things I enjoyed, and that was, and you carry a lot of guilt around things like that when you've invested all this time and money and energy into a direction, and then you're like, this is the direction I want to be in, I'm gonna you know, do the things, and I'm not gonna lie, I was good at my job, I was, and that's what made it hard to kind of be like, you know what, this wasn't healthy for me, this wasn't good for me. And there's a lot of guilt I feel around that when you've studied something or you think you're going to go in a direction like that, and then the next thing you know, you hate it, or it's causing you like health problems or mental issues, and
because you've devoted so much time and money, and you feel like that's now wasted, or you know, I totally understand. I mean, I didn't go through the same thing. But I mean, I dropped out of my honors year. I thought that, you know, this was the skills I needed to become a writer and to learn and whatever, and it was really engaging, but mentally I had a tough time, you know. It was really, really tough, and the decision to drop was one of the scariest, one of the hardest, and one of the most shameful decisions I've made. I felt a lot of shame and guilt over that, and thought that people would look at me different and I would be disappointing people, you know. But at the end of the day, it's probably one of the better decisions because I don't think I would have gotten through that year regardless.
Yeah.
But when I think I saved myself some debt, some more debt from dropping out as early as I did. And, it threw me onto a different path.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on a different path now as well. And,
Yeah.
While we may not be creatively fulfilled like we were in our previous jobs, I think for me at least, I take comfort in that I'm doing fantastic or like really good and I'm giving it my best and my all, and I feel secure financially and whatever, that's something that I've never had. So I'm just like, that was my favorite part of adulthood. I love having money. It's so bad.
But it's like because when I switched, because I stopped working because of the pandemic that hit, and it's wild because I didn't realize how messed up I was until I remember the shift I had. So I was at home, so I was working in Cape Town because I studied there and I was in the industry there. But then obviously I came home because I was living alone in a flat and I didn't want to, get depressed with, life and whatnot. And I know that, and even my parents were like, you're going to come home for the lockdown because if you have to stay in your flat for 2 weeks by yourself,
it's going to be hell.
You're going to go crazy. And I was like, I probably would have. So I came home to Joburg and, everything was fine. And I think I kind of really started listening to what my body was telling me. And then it was like, I think we went down to level 3 where they were like, okay, you guys can move to different provinces again or something like that. And I remember my boss phoning me and he was like, we're going to start up again. And I went from this relaxed state to this instant anxious state of literally, because for me, when I get anxious, I need to do something. I feel like I need to go. And like whatever it was, I don't know. And at that point, I wanted to dig a hole and sit in it and bury myself in this hole so I wouldn't have to, deal with that. And I told my boss, I was like, listen, I don't think I'll be able to make it. But at this point in my life, I really need to sort out my anxiety and my expectations for myself around everything. And that's been a really tricky journey because I still, there's days where I'm like, should I quit my job and go back to film? And I keep telling myself, no, it didn't help you. You had a lot of health issues around this. You had a lot of mental health issues surrounding this. You weren't being fulfilled because you didn't have time for a life outside of your job. And that's something, exactly. And I am more happy in the job I am now because I'm able to, I've got weekends off now. I have the evenings off. I have a set schedule that I can work 8 to 5.
Yeah.
And I can do the things, I can go and see my friends if I want to after work.
Yeah, and I mean, we do complain and say, oh, I wish I had more time. And, revenge, what is it called? I can't remember the exact term.
Bedtime procrastination or revenge bedtime procrastination, something like that.
Procrastination, yeah, that's a big thing for me because I feel like when I give so much time to something else that, obviously it's not super exciting or whatever, it doesn't make me joyous, so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna sit on my phone for the next 6 hours straight until I absolutely have to go to bed.
No, it's like, I mean, my bedtime or my sleeping schedule is very normal now compared to what it was when I was working heckin' hours. I mean, now I go to sleep at like midnight.
Yeah.
And then I'll wake up at like, 7:30.
Yeah.
But from like 10 to 12, so I have a routine. We have a routine at home. Like I'll sit with the family and we'll watch something together. You spend time. I like to spend time with my family. It fulfills me. I love my family. Yeah. And then when my parents go to bed, it's me and my sister watching what we want to watch, until we say, okay, it's bedtime, and then I'll be in my bed, and depending on like how I feel, I'll probably watch something else. I'll watch the YouTube videos I want to watch, or I will watch a show that I want. I'll read the story I want to.
That's your time.
Exactly. And I mean, I think I've started saying to myself, I'm going to take some more me time during the week. So my lunch hour is my hour to do my thing. So I'll sit and play my games, or I'll, just lie in my bed and scroll through TikTok for a whole hour.
And that's fulfilling.
It is. It's what I enjoy doing. And I really appreciate that a lot more about my job now, because I know that I need time for myself and for my, like, what I want to do. And if I don't have that, it makes me more anxious and more just, it doesn't help me. Yeah,
it upsets me when I feel like I don't have enough time for myself. It makes me extremely stressed out, and then I feel like it bleeds then out onto everything else, because I then begin to resent the other stuff that I'm doing, because it's taking away my time. And part of a big thing that I've discovered is that I really like to be alone. I really like spending time with myself. I had a lot of I'm an only child, so when I was younger, I needed so much attention, and I needed so much just people around me. I would love when there were people around me, because otherwise it's quite lonely as a kid. As a kid you do need more. I would follow my mom around the house, and she'd just be doing chores and stuff. I'm like, what you doing? And she's like, I'm gonna clean the shower. And I'm like, and after that? And she's like, I'm gonna start cooking the food for tonight. And after that? And she's like, can you just go play? And I'm like, play with who? And now I'm like, yay, me time. I get to be alone, because I also have a social battery. It's much lower for other people. Like with my family, I think I have a higher social. I really enjoy spending time with my parents. I wish I had siblings, but I don't. And obviously for like a best friend or my boyfriend and his family, like much higher. I don't think I'll ever get sick of spending time with them. But with the outside world, I need time to recharge.
No, definitely.
And fill up, and just and being by myself is great, because it gives me time to think. And for many years, like as a kid, I kind of just like I said about growing up earlier, you start to figure out who you are as a person. And as a teenager, obviously it comes hugely from insecurities and wanting to be cool and whatever. I would obviously take traits from other people that I thought were cool and amalgamate them into myself. And as a human being, you do that anyway, subconsciously. I think, which is sweet. Like you're like, oh, this person says that word in that way, I think that's really cool. I'm gonna start saying it like that too, but on a larger scale, but when I was a teenager, like I began to amalgamate so many traits and whatever, that I began to like not know, what do I like, what do I enjoy, or who am I actually? And as an adult, that relearning experience has been really enriching, and I think it's selfish in a good way, that I get to figure out, like, I like to do this and I don't like to do that, and that's okay. You need to accept that, maybe I said that I like this, but I don't actually. I figured out that I don't actually, and that's okay. I don't want to do that, and I don't have to. And the freedom is a huge thing as well. It's one of the most beautiful things, in that I make my own decisions. I do what I want, and I'm responsible for those things, yes. But it's very freeing to be able to have that autonomy over your life for once.
Definitely.
I feel like I'm in the driver's seat properly now. And that's scary because I don't have a license. No, literally, I don't have a license yet. I don't know where. Don't ask me about it. I'm probably never gonna get a license.
It's fine.
But I will be proficient in other ways.
Yeah.
I'm learning about taxes for the first time. That's something that no one really prepared me for. Like there's this joke that at school they teach you about that, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. But what they don't teach you is how taxes work.
Yeah. And the economy.
Yes, the economy is this.
Like, I mean, I know in school we had like econ classes.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I
up until grade 9.
If you did business and stuff, that would be more helpful.
Yeah, but like, how does it actually work? You're just telling me how businesses work, but you don't actually tell me how the economy works.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand investments.
I don't either. I remember in history, we talked about the stock market crash and stuff like that. It's like, how do stocks work though? And
yeah.
My male 40-year-old teacher just like glared at me and said words, and I don't know what they meant. And I mean, I'm just learning these things for the first time now. Like to have, accounts, to open up accounts and buy things like, Wi-Fi and, have a credit card and stuff. You need credit. You need to have other accounts.
Let me tell you my story with credit, right?
Yes.
So in 2019, my phone got pickpocketed, and that's an issue in itself.
Yep.
So I went to Cell C, blocked the SIM card, did all that admin. But then Cell C is so stupid. So I went to go and like take out a new contract, right? I had a student credit card that I used that had like a 200 Rand limit on it, so you couldn't like go into debt.
Yeah.
But so you could slowly build up your credit base essentially, which I'm very glad I did. And so I go to Cell C with my credit statements, saying that this is my credit score. I've never been in the red. It's all good, whatnot. And they were like, oh lol, we can't really use credit cards. And I'm like, excuse me, that doesn't make any sense. How, like,
they also don't take bank statements as proof of residence, even though
that's so stupid.
You literally list it as your residence when you sign up, and like I live there.
Yeah. And then
why won't you accept it?
But it was so stupid, and I was like, are you kidding? And they told me I need to go and open up an account at like Edgar's or Woolworths.
They told me that too, and I was like, oh, so I must spend money to spend money.
Exactly. And I was like, that makes no sense. I'm not going to do that. So for like shits and giggles, I went into Vodacom and I was like, hey, I need a new phone and I need a contract. Do you guys accept credit cards as like credit history? And like, yeah, let me check your credit score. And they were like, okay, cool, we can set you up like right now. And I was like, Salsi, why are you being so unnodig?
They are the worst. I'm very happy about being with Vodacom, honestly. I mean, their prices are a little bit, but in terms of making the process easy, they've got that down.
I've never had any issues with Vodacom, honestly.
Same. Honestly, they've been really good. This week's podcast is sponsored by Vodacom. Am I allowed to say that if it's not true?
I don't know. I mean, if Vodacom wants to sponsor us, I mean, we're here. We're here.
Please, guys. I would love to be sponsored by you guys. Thank you for your amazing work.
Thank you for making the contract process so easy.
Yes.
And for not making me want to run head first into traffic.
Like even when my dad he moved, to London, and we wanted to get like a router and stuff, and we went to a couple of places, and they were like, because he was the breadwinner at the time, he was the only source of income at the time, so like I was earning like a little bit every month from my job, and like NSFAS from UCT, like the financial aid, but not enough nearly to be able to buy anything or start any accounts or whatever. And everyone was like, well, we can't do it because he's not here to physically sign.
Oh my goodness.
Blah. Yeah, and we went to Vodacom eventually because they were like, yeah, okay, we can try, And it took a little bit of time, but that's just mostly because my dad had tech issues on his side. had to learn how to scan a document and then
Oh my goodness.
email it. No hate, Dad, I love you. And they got it set up for us. And the dude didn't even have to be here, and that was a huge thing for us. So I was very happy with that.
Yeah, that's also like one system I don't understand is like when you're married, you need like my mom, because my mom and dad have like a joint account, and whenever she needs like authorization, she has to get my dad to sign or do the things, and I'm like, what? That's such a waste of time.
If you have a joint account, either one of the account holders should be able to authorize any action because they both have authority over the account.
But it's like, okay, but it's not in your name. It's in his name, so you can't. It's just such a pain. It's like makes no sense.
The concept of banking and the way banking exists currently pisses me off to no end.
But
just the sheer fact that I have to pay money every month to use my money.
I know, it's so stupid. But it's like you almost went to the bank the other day for a client, and
yes.
because your full name wasn't on this one form, you couldn't get the payment.
Yes, like she missed my middle name. I'm not even supposed to have a middle name as a Muslim person, but my dad was like, YOLO, put that shit in. I need representation in this person as well. So it's like, cool, Dad. And yeah, she didn't, because she asked me for my name and surname. Gave her my name and surname. But because my ID lists my name, surname, and middle name, oh no, it's now a problem.
Yeah.
Even though your name and surname are correct, and every other single detail that you gave us was correct, we still cannot authorize this because your middle name is missing.
I know.
When I tell you, I was fuming.
I would have been too.
And did you know they're like on Wednesdays now, ABSA doesn't have any tellers in the bank.
Oh.
They're going tellerless. That's the new age of banking, is we're not going to be dealing with people anymore. And while that sounds absolutely beautiful, there's also something to be said about like the empathetic administration, right? Like sometimes you get people that are just like, you know what, I will do it for you.
Yeah.
And that is so sweet. I respect those people. I admire those people. Those people make my day. And with machines, you're not gonna get that.
No, it's black and white, and like that's it.
Exactly.
There's no reading between the lines. There's no exceptions. It's just this is how it is, and you got to deal with it.
And I feel like, especially in our country, the removal of people when it comes to handling money is going to make people more upset. It's going to cause more problems because there's just so many hoops people have to jump through in the first place, and everything's run by tech, and it's going to make things more complicated for a lot of people. It's also an access thing, but we're going so
but it's just like I don't understand why they have to make things like so that difficult. so tedious.
Yes.
And just
it's
like
my
a pain.
Freaking money. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Give.
I've got the numbers. Here's my name. I've literally just got one extra name. Please give me the money that is
I have
mine.
My identification. Like you can see, this is me. Okay, I will say though, on all of my IDs and stuff, I look like a different person in each one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, but we're not going to go into that. Because that is a conversation completely on its own.
It's just funny because like I look like I'm going through something different in each one.
It is just wild. I think one year I lost my driver's license. It was in third year, I remember. I lost it and I had to go to the traffic department to get a new one. So obviously I had to take a new photo. And I feel like that is my nicest ID photo that I've ever taken in my life.
Lovely.
All my other ones I look like I am bald because I've got my hair up in a ponytail and I don't look good without anything framing my face. I mean, the one I got was taken at 16. So, I mean, I went straight from school to get my ID photo taken.
Yep. I'm going to send you some pictures lately because I think it'll make you laugh. The progression is real funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, adulting is wild, and I don't enjoy it. Like,
There's positives and negatives. There's
Yeah.
too many negatives, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like this because of the society that we live in, it makes it very tough. But yeah, we do what we can, and I think the more we have time and the ability to do things that make us happy, the easier and more enjoyable it is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
Please tell us about things that stump you as an adult, because taxes is one of the things that really just I
The
can't wrap my
economy.
head around it. I had to
Stocks.
calculate and recalculate my last payslip several times. I had to call my father and actually I sent him an email and the subject was like, "I dumb, how does work?" And he just said, what? Anyway, but the moral of the story is we're surviving.
Yeah.
And we hope you are too.
Yeah.
Please share your stories of survival. If you can relate, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and please subscribe and, join us on any of our platforms. It really does help, and it's a really big motivator and to let us know that we're doing, things that people enjoy.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can be a nice little break from your adulting.
Yeah. And like you said, if you want to support us, share as well. If you have friends who might enjoy what we're talking about, you just share them our little podcast. We'd really appreciate the support, and we really appreciate everyone who has supported us thus far already. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and I hope you guys stick around for more fun.
Definitely. And I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.